Welcome to Depression Proof Your Life Live, a space for honest conversations about mental health, mental wellness, recovery, and resilience. Here, we explore how communication, environment, and mindset work together to move us from silence to strength. I'm Marion Mills, and I created DPYL out of my own journey through mental illness, addiction, and recovery. These conversations are about breaking stigma, finding support, and reminding you that you are not alone. If tonight's conversation brings up heavy emotions for you, please step away and reach out for support. Call or text 988 or call 911. Let's begin. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you so much for being here.
Good
Welcome.
evening, Miss Marion, and hello from the Bronx Bureau. Thank you for having me.
Yes, absolutely. So glad. And of course, we were chatting it up, before we went live. So looking forward to continuing that.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
So yeah, good evening. Thank you so much. Welcome to Depression Proof Your Life Live. Please help me welcome my guest this evening, Diana Wilde. She is an actor, a creator, producer, writer, and voice of Granny Has a Podcast that offers irreverent fun, storytelling, and information about women 50 and over. Her body of work includes, take a deep breath here. Her body of work includes radio broadcasting, on-air talent, FM and AM producer, production director, right? Production director?
Yeah.
Production director, theater, musical and non-musical, voice actor, improv. That shows through. Like when I first met you, your improv showed through. On camera, and of course, the ubiquitous singing telegrams from the 80s. Wow. Please join me in welcoming Diana Wilde. How the heck are you?
I'll tell you what, I am so much better than I was 8 months ago. I feel good. I feel mentally healthy. I feel
good.
I feel at home.
Good.
I'm coming to you live from my bedroom, which is obviously somebody's couch. And yet the column I'm working on for my Buy Me a Coffee site right now is called Mama Cat Home for the Holidays.
Yes.
Because I feel at home. I did some tough things this year. And even though I don't have my name on a lease, even though I'm a couch surfer with my little dog, I've surfed to a safe harbor and I feel love and I'm not missing meals and I have been taken care of by the universe. That's how I am. How are you?
That is a blessing. That is, truly, that is truly a blessing to be able to say that. And again, I think in one of the posts that I shared about you, the one thing that I said was, your smile, one can think and say that knows you, or just, even in passing, that life is good. They would never know what you're currently going through, and of course, even when I spoke with you, knowing what you were going through and asked you to be on the show, I was, very careful and just letting you know to please be mindful, let me know if you don't want, if it's too early, if it's too soon to talk about it. So I really appreciate you being so willing to, share in the midst of, like fresh, you're really in the midst of it.
The whirlwind, as it were. Yeah.
Yeah. So a couple of things I want to ask and just share before I actually get into the questions. I always like to, I guess, kind of remind ourselves as well as the audience how we actually met. And if I'm not mistaken, we met at MAVO 2022, did we not?
It had to be MAVO 2022. Okay. It was the only time I was able to get there. How is that 3 years ago? What?
That's great. That was my first VO conference, but that was just my first introduction to anything VO, outside of coaching. That's all I had ever done. Since 2018, that's all I had been doing was just coaching. So I was literally like, even in some of my pictures, I think my eyes were like this because everything was just, and I still have your fan. Do you know that? I should have.
Do you really? Oh,
your fan, with the Granny, Granny's Got a Podcast. Yeah.
Oh, that's so awesome. That's so awesome. I had just been to my first conference, the VO Atlanta, immediately before we met.
Okay.
And I got the inspiration there to create a podcast because I was really
Mm,
frustrated that there's no radio anymore.
okay.
And I took a couple of sessions discussing the gentle art of podcasting and the gentle art of creating your own work. And I went,
Okay.
oh, you could just make your own radio station the way you always wanted it, only call it a podcast. So I set out to do a number of things with it, right? And I know we're not here to talk about the podcast, but it's
No,
such a
no, no.
huge
Yeah, go ahead.
part of the evolution.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to tell stories. Um, I wanted to play music, but I knew I just didn't have the money for licensing to broadcast actual
Okay.
licensed music. That wasn't gonna happen. But I also knew that I had just burst into a wide, wide world of production professionals, and all my voice and production work was way in the past from 2008 when radio
Okay.
folded its arms and died. And,
Mm-hmm.
to all intents and purposes. So I thought, if I take the influences I grew up on, like Fire Sign Theater, for example,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
multi-track audio theater of the mind that's a little off kilter. Uh,
Right.
I started listening to Smothers Brothers records as a toddler, so I
Oh, wow. Yes. Yes.
you see it?
Yes.
And I thought, well, who am I as the voice of a podcast? Because this is not going to be an interview-based thing. A whole bunch of really awesome interview-based ones had just popped up, and I'm like, don't go competing in there. What do you want to show off?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about Irma Bombeck, who was this lady in the 60s and 70s who wrote these newspaper columns about life in the suburbs and made it very, very funny, whatever the challenge was.
Okay.
Right? And so she was like a wife and a mom who wrote at the kitchen table. And I thought, that's kind of it. And then I heard my third time through one of my favorite Downton Abbey episodes.
Okay.
I just told a whole lot about myself. Lady Mary is listening to her elderly grandmother, the incomparable Maggie Smith, talking about an old boyfriend back in the day. And Lady Mary gets this look on her face and realizes and goes, Granny has a past. And the third time I saw that episode, my brain goes, Granny
Granny's
has a
got a
podcast. Yeah.
I love that story. Thank you so much for sharing that. And of course, I think when I first met you, not knowing how long you had it, that was I walked away with that like, I wonder. Again, I think at the time I said that was a catchy name because it is. But I love hearing the story behind the idea. But yeah, very good. I love that. Look at
Crazy,
that.
right? Loving that. Because I wanted to make it something really different from any of the other podcasts
And it is,
for
yeah.
women in the zone. And I wanted to showcase, oh, look, I'm an accomplished actor, producer, and writer. And here's something I act on, produce, and write. And I do all the fancy multi-track stuff where I should not, and I don't do it where I shouldn't. So it's arts and crafts for me. And as the podcast grew, domestic tension grew. And there's a pattern that we'll be looking at where I'm going to come right out and say it in the narcissistic abuse pattern, trigger warning, this ain't fun. When the woman takes one step forward with her career, the man makes sure that she has to take 2 steps back. And this is done through manipulation, power, and control. And one of the reasons I had so much trouble figuring out, should I leave? How do I leave? When do I leave? I'm sorry I keep hitting my little mic stand there. It's my little temporary booth. Courtesy of Karen Gilfrey, with all thanks.
Karen.
I know, right? So through exercising various mechanisms of power and control over the woman, the man will manipulate her away from her success.
Oh, thank you. Someone, Shannon said, so happy that she found this.
Shannon Haddock. Hi, welcome, my friend.
Love that.
Oh, you should see her new one. It's got like some curls around here. It's like a little bit longer, and she's going through a feminine blossoming phase. That's
always a good thing, right?
Your gorgeous mom. Yeah, she's awesome. She is,
Thank
by the way. It is her couch I'm sitting on. as we speak.
Oh, hey, Shannon. That's it's such a blessing. Like it really is. So I appreciate that segue. I really do, Diana. I like this is going to be so good. So of course, you're currently in the middle of a divorce.
Mhm.
Can you share just briefly, what life was like before you got married? And when was the first sign of abuse? And, just explain like how maybe it changed over time or how it built over time.
See, this is why I want to follow in your footsteps. I either want to be a paralegal or a licensed clinical social worker because we need to use our voices to delineate these things. Before we married and we were living together,
Okay.
I was an FM production director for 104.1 Jack FM, CBS Radio, Minneapolis. And so, I was the voice of features, jacking around town. This week, Jack's going to be out at Name of Bar doing name of event kind of stuff and
Yeah.
producing numerous commercials, all the way from account executive hands you a bar napkin with copy points to it's on the air in the afternoon drive and it's beautiful.
Okay.
And it was a little bit on the prestigious side because there were three other production directors in the cluster, and I was the chick production director. So I was very independent, salary and benefits. That's how we came into the marriage.
Okay.
And of course, 2 months after we were married in 2008 was the Great Recession. He lost his corporate job. I lost my corporate job. And we were just a couple of newly married, middle-aged, unemployed people with, hundreds of thousands of others in this country. So,
Yes.
As for when the signs of abuse started, part of what I hope to learn to articulate as I process my own experience and when I am able to use that to help others, there's a thing called red flags, and we don't all grow up knowing what they are.
That's good.
And so there I was in my mid-40s. And when I look back now with the clarity of hindsight and the filter of once you see the pattern, you cannot look away.
Yes. Yeah.
I see little red flags way back that I didn't understand.
Okay.
We went to an Eric Clapton concert many years ago because radio gives you free tickets. Yeah.
Yes.
And there were several unpleasant occurrences throughout the evening.
Okay.
Escalating. And at the time it was, I don't know what's wrong with my boyfriend, but I'm here to enjoy the show.
Yes. Okay.
But looking back, I see that was an early sign of pushing me, escalating to see what he could get away with, pushing me, escalating to see what he could get away with.
Okay.
And that developed over time. And one of the things about this particular kind of abuse, but he never hit you. Oh, no, it's domestic violence. It's psychological.
Yeah.
You love this person deeply or you wouldn't be in relationship. You certainly wouldn't marry them. You sure wouldn't be around for 2 decades. Part of what I'm going through right now is learning to mourn that the person I loved was a fiction perpetrated by the person I share a last name with currently.
Yeah.
As you take someone into your heart and you confide in them and you tell them your story and hope to get their story and want to share the stories in hopes of creating a healing story together.
Yeah.
The narcissistic abuser is actually right before your very eyes learning how to manipulate you and how to push your buttons.
Yeah.
Trigger warning, self-harm. I'm not a cutter. I can discuss. I'm not afraid, but I wouldn't want a listener to be frightened.
Sure.
But trigger warning, sometimes people who self-harm use their fists or slapping. It's a physical form of violence, and it does exactly what cutting does for cutters.
Yeah.
What burning does for burners, what branding does for branders. We all have that in common, those who self-harm. It's very, very difficult for me to sit here as a sophisticated New Yorker of 67 years old and tell you this in a calm voice. But it's not difficult for me to sit here under these circumstances and tell you, I arrived here on April 17th. I have not been driven to any act of self-harm since before I hit the road to come here.
Yeah.
It took years of misdiagnoses and self-gaslighting, which we can also talk about, for me to realize that one way a gentleman can beat up on his lady is by driving her to do it herself.
Yeah.
You can learn her triggers and learn how to punish her and how to push her.
Yeah.
And while I was struggling to get a firm diagnosis, and oh boy, have I got a Lulu, because misdiagnosis is the order of the day in our system, I took on a lot of self-blame, a lot of self-codependent labeling, a lot of blame the victim mentality. There's something wrong with me that I still have meltdowns and haven't outgrown it.
Yeah.
At age 62, when I found out I was autistic with CPTSD and some side dishes.
I like that, some side dishes. Yeah. You know, I appreciate you for saying that, because first of all, hats off to you. Like, seriously, I applaud you for
I'll water to that.
Like, seriously, because I think sometimes we I think sometimes people feel like, well, I'm grown now, if I haven't dealt with it now, it's too late. So good for you for continuing to seek therapy, because of course, sometimes with therapy, like you said, with misdiagnosis, sometimes it takes time to find the right therapist that's going to take the time to really hear what you're saying and what you're going through, all those different things. So good for you. And again, like, I know some people either watching now or going back to watch the replay, like 62 diagnosed with, but yeah, it's like it happens. It happens. And anyone that continues to seek the help that they need for their own healing, that's huge. Like, it really is. Had you ever tried to leave before?
I had come real close a couple of times. There were a couple of times I was visiting New York that I came darn near close to not going back.
Okay.
And there was always a dog.
When you said going back to
Minneapolis, where the marriage took place, where the divorce is taking place, and where he who shall be divorced resides. There was always a dog in the picture that kept me from not returning.
Okay.
Yeah. More the dog than the marriage as time went by.
Okay. Yeah.
And when I say as time went by, I'm talking about a span of fully 14 years now, maybe more, because I had brought him to New York briefly in 2010 when I was doing summer stock in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And we had a day and 2 nights, 2 nights and a day, to show him the city and say, look, we could both thrive if we move here. I come here, I get little contracts to go do little plays in places. Right. If we both move here, we could both thrive. And that was, a goal that I made clear 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And 11 years ago, I met Shannon Haddock and her husband, and she and I were doing summer stock. Of course we were. So I would come here to visit her, and we'd attend auditions in the springtime and stuff. And still I would book work out of New York. Wow. But in a limited fashion, because I was based out of Minnesota.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So what was the breaking point, for you to actually finally leave, in comparison to different times that you thought about leaving and stayed?
Well, as you know, when we're counting down to a broadcast, we get 2 warnings. So I'll give you the 6-month warning and the it's going to be this week warning.
Mm.
The 6-month warning was October 19th. We had planned to take an overnight trip to a nearby city to see a favorite comedian. And the way this psychological abuse phenomenon takes place, and I will take issue with anybody who says it isn't violence, the way it manifests sometimes
Yeah.
is spoiling special occasions.
Oh, of course. Absolutely. Yeah.
So I had used all my Hyatt points to upgrade us to a heck of a room
Okay.
in the neighboring city. And we had great tickets that cost a little extra than good tickets. And we were going to get the expensive dinner. I was so looking forward to this.
Mm-hmm.
The vibe changed early in the morning.
Mm.
And what I thought was going on, because I was still a true believer at this point,
Yes.
true believer in my marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we set different things before the other different things.
Right.
My sanity is bay before anything else. Because I was a true believer, when the vibe changed, I went to him and asked what was wrong, because I thought, oh my gosh, you've gotten bad news from one of your adult children or one of your grandchildren.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you've gotten bad news from work. Oh my gosh, we've lost somebody. I don't know. And this escalated into rage on his part. And without going through all the steps, a lot of the rage took place on the freeway while I was driving with him and the dog in the car. And it was out of control.
Yeah.
And it was terrifying. And it was
Mhm.
endangering 3 lives, at
Right.
least. At least.
Right.
Because
All the
what if the
people-
driver had lost her mind and hit someone else, for heaven's
Yeah.
sakes?
Mhm.
And I ceased all contact and lived in the basement for 2 weeks, crying and realizing this is your 6-month warning. And I got
Now,
a part
I'm sorry. When
yeah,
you say this is your 6-month warning, are you saying this to
to myself.
yourself? Right. Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to be clear, but yeah, that's what I thought. That you're kind of telling yourself, like, "Hey, you can't put up this too much longer." This
That's
is
what I'm
yeah.
saying.
Okay, so that's what I thought. Thank you so
Yeah,
much. I appreciate
yeah.
that. Yeah.
This isn't the stop where I get off, but I can see it from here.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And some time went by and some things happened, and I was trying to work and earn money. And of course, some financial sabotage had occurred in the background that vacuumed all my wages out my pocket the minute they
Of course.
came in. Thank you, Macy's. Love you anyway. And then one April night, we paused a movie we were watching.
Mhm.
I took the dog out. He put the dog dinner together. And for years since we've had this dog, she's been allowed to just run up those stairs when she comes in after she gets toweled off, if it's wet or snowy.
Sure. Mhm.
She's allowed to run up those stairs to that dog dish and tuck in. And he had recently started stopping her at the top of the stairs in squat position, blocking her way and removing her gear first, which is confusing to an animal. And to do that to an animal's routine, some say cruelty. And I said, I would really just let the little dog go have her dinner.
Right.
And it took off from there in escalating rages to where that night, with me locked in the bedroom with the little dog crying my little eyes out, him on the other side of the wall in his office, he changed his Facebook status from married to separated with his wife in the next room. And I said, that's it this week. I'm gone. I don't know how. I don't know where. I have no concept of destination or way, but that's the last straw. That is something a high schooler does. Announce his breakup on Facebook. And he unfriended me and blocked me on Instagram. And I'm not telling tales out of school. This is what happened. That's what broke me. He raged and raged and raged and raged. And then he hurt my little feelings on the socials.
Yeah. So I'm curious, with the self-sabotage that started that morning of your evening, did you guys did his sabotage work to the point that you eventually did not go
The trip in October, that is
Yeah.
correct. That is correct. We
Okay.
got there was all kinds of crazy behavior with him getting out at a metered traffic light at the bottom of a freeway ramp and jumping out of the car that I had just barely brought to a halt and walking in front of traffic to get away from me. In a move that was and again, there's a police record. This is part of the legal matter, but this isn't part that I can't talk about. This is on the police record.
Yeah.
Could have died, could have been injured crossing in front of traffic in front of my car.
Yeah.
Which is an irrational act. And I finally got hip to what my therapist had been telling me and what my two closest friends had been telling me and what Lundy Bancroft had been telling me. Lundy is the man's first name. Bancroft, Bancroft, like Anne Bancroft, the actress. Oh, there's Grandma showing us she's old. Lundy wrote a book I want to recommend to any woman who feels like this is happening. And it is mostly women who are the victims. Yes, men, I know there can be female narcissists. I understand. We're talking about women right now. It's called Why Does He Do That? And in combination with support from my therapist and my friends who are helping me to see the patterns that they were observing were also the same patterns I was observing, so I wasn't crazy.
Sure.
Right. And with the help of this book, I was able to see by the time the October incident happened and we ended up turning around and going back home and not attending the event and not speaking for 2 weeks, that yes, Diana, this is happening. The reason you feel abused is because you actually, my darling Diana, are. And he knows what he's doing. And he's not who he thought he was. Ouch. So much mourning.
What was the hardest part of rebuilding, in which I know that you're currently still in the midst of that, but just the emotional, the physical, the mental, all of those, tell us how you are managing, I guess, especially even just with the decision of knowing that you leaving for your own mental safety was going to lead to homelessness.
First of all, sometimes you throw dice and occasionally you win. So while I am technically, like it should be easy for me to say, I talk for a living, hire me to be a voice actor. Although I am technically homeless, I am not unhoused.
Okay, I like that. Thank you.
And I am not unhoused because of the grace of whatever you want to call the power in the universe and the grace of Shannon Haddock and Philip Gerba. And I'm naming names.
Yes, please do. Yeah.
Because first I took off to a little hotel in a little college town way down the Mississippi, but still in Minnesota, where I knew he'd never look for me. And then I went back to the house and grabbed a couple of last things and I took off east because Shannon was saying, come here, we will figure it out.
Wow.
And I came here and I was
That's
thinking,
beautiful.
well, maybe I'll be there for a couple of weeks and I'll do something else. And so then I went off and put a credit card bill for a cheap hotel upstate so I could get off by myself for a few days. And then I came back here for a couple of weeks. And then I went off and house set for somebody in New Jersey for a few weeks while they were traveling. And then I came back here. And as things went by and the divorce got into progress and we began to see what kind of a fight I was in for, Shannon says this to me repeatedly every day, and it gives me life. You're here now, and we will figure it out. So it's technically correct to say I'm homeless. I couldn't possibly get a lease right now, qualify for an apartment, pay for one, let alone.
Yeah.
But I'm not unhoused.
Yeah.
And It's what I was saying to you when we first came on to do sound check and how you been, sweetheart.
Yeah.
I feel home for the holidays for the first time in years. I feel more at home for the holidays in my friend's little apartment in the Bronx where we got 3 people and 2 pets
Oh my God.
in 2 rooms and a kitchen
Yeah.
than I felt in my marriage. And Marion, it's you know how every coin has 2 sides. The beautiful side is holy crap, chosen family can really catch you when you fall.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
the other side is how sad that I had to leave my husband to feel this much love.
But it's beautiful. It's
Yes, it
beautiful to
is.
be able to say, as you said in the beginning, for Shannon, and I love the fact that she was like, wait, you're here. We'll figure it out. Because I was going to ask you before you shared that, I was going to ask you, did you keep going? You'd go there, come there for a while, and then house sat in Jersey just so you wouldn't overstay your welcome. Is that one of the reasons why
Exactly. Because here's what's
Shannon said,
happening.
we got you?
I tell you what, as a once and future New Yorker, we got you. I love you, baby.
Yeah.
As a once and future New Yorker, what happens when you have an apartment in New York is you end up opening it up to your friends who don't live in New York.
Okay.
Because if you're an artist, everybody eventually has to come to New York for an audition or something.
Mhm.
And sometimes what happens is it's like that old black and white movie, The Man Who Came to Dinner. Oh Lord, what have
Yeah.
we in our house?
Yes.
When I arrived, I was legit crazy town mama. I was out of my mind, freaking out, overreaction syndrome, jump scares out of everything,
Yeah.
breakdown crying all the time, because I had finally pulled the trigger on my third marriage. I really thought I was going to go all the way, and so when I got here, I was having a lot of reactive symptoms and pretty cray
Of
cray.
course. Yeah. Yeah.
So it was partly because I had to be mindful of Shannon and Philip's comfort level with
Yeah.
having the old lady, because I don't have any family to go to. I would be the last of the entire line here.
Oh wow.
So there's no sister, brother, cousin, mama
Yeah.
and papa have been long gone. And I didn't like them anyway. That's another story. Never mind. And yes, we do use humor to diffuse the situation in this house. So, yes, I needed to break up the amount of time I was here at a time
Yeah.
to grant us all some grace and some getting to know you up close and personal, as opposed to, I'm coming in Thursday, I'm leaving Tuesday, let's go to an audition and try to see a show, which is a whole different energy than, holy crap, I've left my husband and I have no family to go to.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also to see, are the social services available? Is there housing? Do
Yeah.
we know anybody who's got a sublet? Stuff like that. And it just developed that I'm here now and we're sharing. And so, yesterday I roasted 5 pounds of potatoes and 2 chickens for my hosts. So we have a lot of chicken and potatoes ready to put side dishes with as we go into the weekend. So
Yes.
I am richly blessed by the opportunity to cook and by people who love my cooking. So
Right. That's awesome.
It is awesome. It is awesome. Nava reached out. Karen Gilfrey reached out personally. JMC reached out.
Yeah.
Uncle Roy reached out. Many people have reached out. Samantha DeSouza reached out. I'll spend the rest of the time naming names, but I can't even look at the names of who's watching or commenting because people came out of nowhere to give me $5 or loan me a piece of equipment or send me a love letter or whatever it was. One of our lovelies was sending me just funny memes on the daily.
Yeah.
during the high crisis of it, just to be sure.
Yeah.
So I feel I've gone through this fire that started with oh dear God, I'm a 67-year-old woman who doesn't have a bunch of revenue streams at all, going out with no money and potentially might wind up camping outside Pensacola to keep warm this winter. I had literally no idea. And
Shannon said you're a great cook.
well, she ain't lying. Wait till you see when I post all my Thanksgiving pictures. I fed these people right. I wasn't raised very much by my family, but I did learn to cook a thing or two. So that's a good, beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So that was the toughest part to answer your question properly, because those first few months, the displacement was strong with me. And because an effect of narcissistic abuse is to have the victim, I'm a survivor, but at the time I was a victim of it. You constantly get into a pattern of auditioning for your own place in your own life. Am I good enough today? Am I good enough today? And I needed time and space to let that shackle free itself from my mind.
I love, I know at the beginning, I forgive me, I don't even know if you said this before we came on, because we had a whole conversation before we even came on live. But
I know, serious, we did.
But you said something about getting a degree, or thinking about getting a degree in social work. Everything that you're saying, you're pointing out so many different things. The fact that you were self-aware, and that's very huge. Being self-aware that you had to take the time. It's not like you were trying to force anything. It sounds like, and even now, it sounds like you're really being intentional and taking your time to process. Because we're talking, like you said, two decades. We're talking a lifetime, right? Of spending your life, blending your life with someone. So I appreciate, and I'm so happy to hear, and I hope that resonates with whoever is listening that may be going through something like this, to take the time that you really need, and process. And as you've done here, you may be smiling in 1 minute and literally crying in the midst of it. And it's okay. It's okay. You have to allow those feelings to shine through. So this kind of goes into, my next question. And I think you may have alluded to something like this earlier, but what would you want to share with women? I know that that's very important for, your podcast. I know that you quite a few episodes that were really meaningful. Your own podcast, episodes that were helpful to you during this process.
Isn't that a lesson? I learned to lean on myself and listen to my own voice. Holy Toledo.
Absolutely right.
Whoa, boy, somebody ought to write that down right now.
That's right. We'll replay it on the reel.
Copy that.
Yes.
Oh, Lordy.
But especially speak to those women that, especially like you said, being an older woman, in this life that you thought that you were building, that was going to be your forever life, to sometimes feel trapped in an abusive situation because they're, afraid to number one, afraid to leave. Because let's be honest about the dangers of how dangerous it is for, for anyone that's leaving an abusive relationship, how dangerous that can be for them. And then at the same time, like not having a lot of streams of income, not, like the fear of being homeless, the fear of starting over. Just, can you speak to that,
Boy, can I ever. And you know the way my mind works, that I've got a song in my head, and it's Bob Dylan going, with no direction home, like a complete unknown, like a rolling stone.
Yeah,
they're higher.
That's the perfect song too. Yeah,
feel that.
Yeah,
it came down to a choice of sanity for me, because I realized that the psych. Yeah, and that's when she choked up a little, right? The cycles were real. The patterns were real. It was never going to change. And every time I tried to build up a sane way to get out of the relationship, it failed. In fact, the literature suggests, and by literature, I also mean the YouTube channels and my own therapists, and they're all manner of good sources.
Right.
The statistics suggest that it's anywhere from 7 to 12 tries before a woman can pull herself out of a difficulty like this. So number one, if you are resonating with, oh my gosh, maybe this is me, maybe I need to go away, and you don't just up and do it, don't you dare blame yourself. It is difficult. You have entanglements, your
Yes.
money, property. Some
Yeah.
people have children in common. Some
Right.
people have disabilities on one side or the other, or both. There may be a medical issue. There may be all manner of complication. If you can't instantly disentangle yourself from a difficult situation, do not down yourself. That's human. That's real. It happens to all of us.
That's right.
If the therapy doesn't fit, keep looking. Oh Lord, how I hate the process. And I'm in between therapists right now because of the system and the way it works. And that's what leads me to want to find a way to serve, maybe through law, maybe through therapy.
Okay.
If the therapy doesn't fit and you are feeling not heard, you go look for more.
Yeah.
Third, couples therapy doesn't work on narcissistic abusers. If you feel this is actually the issue, there are many, many forms of abuse. I'm not telling you what's going on in your world, but if you're a woman listening who feels what is going on with my life is similar to what's going on with your life, couples therapy won't work. Read Lundy Bancroft's Why Does He Do That? Get on the YouTubes, and I want you to look up a lady named Dr. Ramani, Ramani. No, I didn't bring any links to the party. Dr. Ramani on YouTube.
I'll post them, after with the reels.
Available for that's
and I'll make sure that I attach them on the YouTube page and stuff. So yeah, I'll when I go back and watch it, I'll make sure that I share everything that you're sharing. I appreciate it. Go ahead.
Beautiful, thank you.
Yeah,
Dr. Ramani is very conversant with this syndrome, and there is a wonderful man named Lee, I can't think of his name. Hammock, like a hammock you would lie in and relax. Lee Hammock, his channel is called Mental Healness.
Okay.
Like mental wellness, but with the word heal. Mental Healness is his channel. And he is a diagnosed narcissistic abuser, and he will cut to the chase.
Okay.
You'll find a lot of good information there that will help you learn about if this is what's really going on and learn about what you might be going through. And between Dr. Ramani's clinical experience and Lee's personal healing process and admitting to the things that have helped turn him around, you'll feel very helped. And there are many other people. And of course, going forward, when I've got studio recording space and I'm doing the podcast on the regular, I have this little segment with a jingle, Mama Cat on Mental Health. I'll be doing that segment every single episode and touching on who some of these people are that can help us help ourselves and pointing the direction to the people who know a lot more about things than I do.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Gosh. Well, no, I appreciate that. And actually, I can't remember if I maybe I didn't ask you because I normally will ask people about different references so that I can share as I shared it with you. But I wish that I had known you had all of this wealth of knowledge. I could have shared it on the reference page, but that's okay.
I wish I'd thought of that, but that's not how my ADHD works.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll make sure that I add that because that's really good information. Number one to know, and outside of what I'm going to share later is just national. But it sounds like the references that you're talking about are things that have actually helped you, that you've actually used and were actually quite helpful to you. So I appreciate that. And that's what I love about doing this, because again, this is your truth. This is your story. This is your experience. So to have you going through what you've gone through, and then what you're currently still going through, and to be able to share, even in the good and the bad and the ugly, these were very helpful resources to actually turn to and recommend for someone else that may be going through the same thing. And I'll also make sure that I share those. I think it was three different episodes that you were talking about specifically that were very helpful to you, I'll also make sure that I share that information as well. Okay.
Oh, thank you so much. That'd be
Yeah,
lovely.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So looking ahead, safe, what does a safe, fulfilling future look like to you? Uh,
Mm.
and what do you look forward to most, in moving forward?
I look forward to my legal name on my ID and my social security and my
Okay.
passport all being just Diana Wilde. Oh,
Uh,
taking back Diana Wilde is a professional name I took years ago.
okay.
But since then, in private life, I've had 3 husbands, I've had 3 new last names. And part of what I intend to accomplish in this divorce decree is a legal name change to just everything is going to be Diana Wilde. No 2 identities going forward. What safety looks like is really want to live right here in Kingsbridge, the Bronx. This is my neighborhood, and this is where my support system is.
Okay.
It's difficult to afford an apartment, but I want revenue streams, including the divorce settlement, thank you, such that I can support a little studio, not so many flights up, because the Beagle and I, we're not spring chickens.
That's right. Yeah. Got to be mindful of that. Yeah.
I want to be able to turn that key on my apartment again. I have gotten to the point in my life, and trigger warning, discussion of mortality. But, after 65, you do start realizing, oh my gosh, this growing older thing is real after all. What the what? Well, how would I take it out? Where would I be?
Yeah.
What would I want for those golden years? If
Yeah.
I can't move to 1980s Miami with Rue McClanahan, and apparently I can't.
Thank
More
you for being a
my
friend.
friend. Yeah, sing it,
Yes.
sister. Oh my Lord,
Yes.
yes. What would I want? Well, I would want to be in New York City, and specifically, I would
Okay.
want to be up here in the neighborhood I've wanted to move to for, gosh, what is it, Shannon? 11 years. Because this is the neighborhood that speaks to me and feeds me, and New York is
Yeah.
the city that makes sense to me. And this is where I speak the same language as
Yeah.
the inhabitants. I
Yeah.
belong, and I
Yeah.
feel like New York will provide if I hang in there and let her
Okay.
know I'm here and keep looking. Safety looks like, I'm getting by on 1,034 a month on Social Security. I don't mind telling you the wages of an artistic career are that your Social Security check is not huge. So multiple revenue streams. This soon-to-be ex-mister needs to kick in, and I want the space to not only sit down and do those famous marketing emails and calls that we freelance actors talk about,
Right.
but to have my space again, because I had to leave my beautiful low noise floor studio that I built out in favor of hitting the road and starting again. And that may have been the other most difficult part.
Okay.
Sweat equity, sunk cost fallacy.
Yeah.
To the women who might be listening for some guidance on their own thing,
Mhm.
don't let sunk cost fallacy fool you.
Can you explain sunk costs for those that might not understand?
I've been in this marriage so long, why would I throw it away now? I
Yes.
invested so much sweat equity, my own personal hard work, and money in building my studio. Why would I walk away from all that? And the sunk cost fallacy is that since you invested so much, you should stick with it and write it out. In business, it can lead you to bankrupting a business. I shared your link with my friend who measured me. Cindy Burns, I love you so much. So you feel like you've invested so much, you should stick with it and write it out. It'll bankrupt a business. It will psychologically bankrupt you by taking away your identity, your sense of self, and your ability to create.
Right.
It will steal time and peace from your life. I sleep epic hours these days to make up for epic hard to sleep at night in the last few years of my marriage.
Yeah.
So peace of mind was worth more than this many $100 in equipment and sound treatment. And now you know it, Internet. Shannon and Philip are held to account. We are, over this holiday season, turning their closet right over there. You could see it if you could see it. We are turning that closet into a booth by the powers of the voiceover gods.
Awesome. Cindy, thank you so much for sharing that. I really hope that your friend is able to get out of the situation that she's in. Diana, I got chills, as you were being brutally honest. That's what I love about this platform. It's extremely important to have real conversations, even with it being brutally honest and saying you're going to be psychologically drained. You're going to, all the different things. So I really appreciate your honesty in saying, like, this is the hell that I went through. This is the hell that I'm continuing to go through. But it makes it a lot easier having supports like Shannon and her husband. And again, like you said, the community that you have, knowing that you have that and you're leaning into that is extremely important.
Leaning really so hard. Yeah.
But before we came on, you said, isn't it? How did you say? Isn't it sad that we have to be so resilient, or something like that? How did you say that?
Oh, that I was so amazed at how many of us have been required to be resilient.
So, and again, in that, we kind of smiled and I said, I think that's just life. Life is about being resilient. It's about, hills and valleys. We're going to have good times. We're going to have bad times. We're going to have struggles. We're going to have, times that it takes a little bit longer to get out of that valley.
And times you have to destroy to rebuild.
You can say that again. That's powerful.
That's
Sometimes
the thing.
You have to destroy to rebuild. Wow.
The one about the principles of soup is about creating something out of nothing. And I use the soup as a metaphor for that good old destruction and rebirth cycle. Okay. And then the universe came down and pointed its universe finger at my head and say, but first, you got to clean up your own house.
Yeah.
You're not happy. You're living a lie.
Mm-hmm.
And getting, you know how excited I was to be a 2025 door builder. And I've said to Jody Krangle before, and I'll say it here, I became a 2025 door builder ambassador, and I was going to go out and do all this door builder stuff. And the universe said, look at the door you have to build first.
Ooh. Oh my gosh, I got chills when you said that. Wow. But right? It still doesn't take away, even though all the things that you may have wanted to do for building doors, you're still a door builder, you're still an ambassador, all of those things.
Preach that.
Yeah,
yes, ma'am.
So having that, and I love that, sometimes life does, we have agendas and plans and logging out exactly what we're going to do. And the life has its way of saying, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. Not today.
Plot twist.
I like that. Plot twist.
Plot twist.
And, and of course, you've probably heard the saying, where it's like, when we make plans, God laughs, or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Kind of thing. Because it's like, they don't know what's coming. They don't know their car is going to break down, or they don't know that they're going to get caught in traffic, or whatever. Whatever plans. And I think that when it comes to being resilient, I think that what's most important is doing just this: talking about it, not isolating, not acting like it didn't happen.
Preach. Yes. Hallelujah. Everybody listen to that part twice. Just rewind and listen to what you said.
Yeah.
You emphasized in your conversation with Barry, and it is one of my favorite words because it's the only way to look at this. You emphasized process, and so did she. And that's what it is a process.
Yeah.
Because I didn't wake up, pack the car, take the dog, drive away, and all of a sudden wind up with, oh my goodness, I have a wonderful job and everything's hunky dory.
Right.
But every day since I made the decision that this is it, come on, Amy Farrah Howler, we are going. I've been in
Now, of
process.
course, please tell everyone who Amy Fowler Howler. I
I
love
know
that
it's a
name.
tongue twister.
I
It,
know, but yeah, please, please
it's
tell
from
everyone.
the name is from The Big Bang Theory. If y'all
Yes,
ever
and
watched that,
yes, I do. Yes,
so let's
absolutely.
tilt this over here and we'll sing a little bit of her theme song.
Hold on, let me.
My whole universe was in a dogless space. Then nearly
I can't
14
see.
summer days ago,
We can't see
something
it.
happened. Wait.
There you are.
I drove out there to meet her, got a hug from her to greet her. Then she came back home to my place with a dog smile on her dog face, tail wagging flopsy ears. The cutest thing you've seen in years. The one and only Amy Farrah Howler. You're on camera.
Hi, Amy.
Okay, she's not doing this
Yeah,
without a
she just gave me the
substantial
sound. I'm like,
fee.
oh, I
Yeah,
don't know
she's
that
like,
voice. Like, I don't.
she,
Who is this? I don't know that
no,
voice.
she would be the most chill beagle in the entire Bronx,
Oh.
as you see.
You know what? You know what? And it's so funny that you said that it's from Big Bang Theory because I loved and still watch it. You know, of course, you know the reruns. But
Oh yeah.
when you told me her name, I was saying it so all together, not even realizing that it's
Amy
You
Farrah
know,
Howler.
yeah, you know, I didn't even realize that. But yeah, so yeah, I love that. I
It's
love that.
it's definitely a nerd test. If I
And you say the best dog name ever.
Thank you. She certainly thinks so too. And part of we touched on this in the before conversation, but
Right.
I want people to hear
Yeah.
I firmly believe in pet therapy and that
Yeah.
part of depression proofing your life and
Yeah.
being resilient, building your resilience is
Yeah.
whatever it is you love. If it's beagle dog, cat, rat, bearded dragon,
Right.
birdie, tank of fish,
Yeah.
find a living thing and love on it and let it love on you. And your tank of fish will swim around and look at you. They will participate.
You know
Uh,
what? I years ago I had a fish and my family laughs at me for doing this, but I had an Oscar and I don't know anyone that knows anything about Oscars, they
I
actually
love Oscars.
grow to the size of the tank, right?
Yeah.
Well, I had one tank and one size, and my Oscar was the size of the tank. And you know, but I was like, you know, well, he just won't grow. But yeah, he's continued to grow.
Oh yeah.
And one day I came home from work and he was at the bottom of the stairs. He had jumped out of the tank. I I lost it. I absolutely lost it. I called my job, told them I couldn't make it in, and they were like, "Did you just call in because your fish died?" And I said, "Yes, I did. I won't be coming in. Like I won't be coming in.
I will take no questions.
And it's so funny because I told my family, they were like, they were asking, you really didn't go in? I was like, no, I didn't. I was like, I was too distraught.
Yeah.
And then they were like, and I said, this fish, when I got home, he would come to the edge of the tank and literally talk. So yes, you're right. He would come to the edge of no matter where I went, he would follow me in the tank. We would talk like, yes, thank you. So thank you so much.
There it is.
Fish are great pets and they have personalities.
Yeah. And a lot of people are no fur, no feathers. And it's like, let's look at Allison Cossett and her beautiful rats. I live in New York City where the rat is not our friend, but her domestic rats are her baby sweethearts. And so I love those rats.
Yeah, I've seen some very interesting pets, but
Yeah.
no, I really appreciate you for saying that. And it's funny because I can't remember which episode it was, but when I interviewed Maurice Scott, he doesn't have any pets, and I said, well, I asked this question because I think sometimes when we're talking about something that's hard and traumatic, sometimes difficult, heart-staking things that we've been through, it's nice to end on things on a positive note, something that's going to make you smile. So even if you don't have a pet, I even asked him, I said, well, if you don't have, I said, what's something that makes you smile, that just that I said smile, like I can't even talk, something that really makes you smile and just brings you joy. And it was his art, so he showed me his art. He got up and showed me his art. So yeah, so thank you for saying that. It is very important to find whatever brings you joy, whatever it is, and tapping back into that at any moment that you are finding it difficult to go through something.
It'll
So
remind you who you are, no matter what kind of storm you're experiencing. The, doing your own art, loving on your dog, making a favorite recipe for friends. There's
mhm.
so many things. It's sometimes it is hard to find the joy, and it sounds like a Hallmark card when you tell people go looking for it, but go looking
Right.
because it's there.
Yeah. Well, thank you so, so much. I appreciate you so much. I'm so happy to end the first season of Depression Proof Your Life with your smiling face, your storytelling. Like, you told me that my voice draws you in, and I could hear you talking about paint drying. Like, you have a way of telling a story.
Thank you
But it's
so
beautiful.
much.
I mean, but you've been doing this for years, so you it's natural. It's just very natural, so I appreciate you
Thank you.
for
That's
being
humbling
so,
and beautiful.
yeah, I
Well,
appreciate you for being so vulnerable
it's
with
what we
your,
were born to do. We were
yeah,
born to tell our stories, and some of them are
definitely.
painful and some of them are about cute dogs,
And sometimes it's a mixture. I mean,
Yes,
it's
ma'am.
combination. It's not just one or the other. It's literally just a
It,
combination.
it's a
So
recipe. It's soup. It's all soup.
it's all soup. I
It's
love
all
it.
soup.
So I will make sure that I post all of your information. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh wow, I took care of a beautiful animal for
Ah,
9 weeks. Oh wow, I love that.
that is beautiful, Cindy.
Oh,
Oh my
she said she went to
gosh.
the voiceover conference with you. She was magical. Some people thought I was ill. I didn't care. She was such a gift. Oh, I
You
love
had a
that.
pet butterfly, for crying out
Cindy,
loud.
thank
How
you
cool
so.
is
Oh my God,
that?
I want to hear more about this, because it's like, because I know when I was younger, I used to try to keep butterflies, but I couldn't, they couldn't survive at past. So yeah, I'm very intrigued on how you were able to keep, that. But
Seriously,
thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate
there's a
that.
story right there. Well,
It
thank
is,
you
right. It
again,
really is. It is.
Miss
Yeah.
Marion. I really
Thank you, thank
appreciate your
you. I really
platform,
appreciate you as well.
and thank you so much for safe space. I'll talk to
Yeah,
you later.
absolutely. All right.
Congratulations on closing your season. Big hand, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, I'm gonna close out for now. Thank you guys so much for joining you, and see you in 2026.
Thanks so much for joining us on Depression Proof Your Life tonight. If this conversation stirred up heavy emotions for you, please reach out for help. Call or text 988 for 24-hour support in the U.S. If you're outside the U.S., look up your local crisis helpline. Stay connected with DPYL by following us on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook, and visit depression-prooflife.com for resources, blogs, and to share your story. Your story may be exactly what someone else needs today. Until next time, take care of yourself. And remember, healing is possible.